Hey folks, Hammeh here. This is my 100k subscriber Q&A or AMA video with your questions, and I'm going to be jumping into the answers. Now, I can talk for England. There are 25 or 30 questions here that I've rounded up. You guys have asked on Twitter, YouTube, comments, and all kinds of different places, so thank you very much for those. A couple of little bits of news or things before we jump into the Q&A. Firstly, I just wanted to say a massive thanks for getting me to 100k, for all of us coming together. I really appreciate it. It's been a nuts just under a year since before Overwatch was kicking off and since this channel really started to grow. Thanks to your support. So a big thank you, all of your watches, subs, comments, likes, and chats that we've had about Overwatch Lore, Overwatch gameplay news, and other stuff. I really appreciate it. Have some cool plans for the next couple of weeks. We'll talk on those in a little bit. This AMA or Q&A to start with, thing number one, is divided up into sections. We have a general section, a bit about the channel, gaming, YouTube, Overwatch Lore, Overwatch in general, because some of your questions come into that kind of bucket, personal, and then a bit of a wrap up at the end. Now I'm going to put time codes in the description below if you're interested in a particular section. I also actually did a 50k AMA with loads more questions in. That was a half-hour long. I'm just mindful to try and keep this one a little bit shorter than that without skimping on detail that you guys want, but do find a link to that in the description below if you want to see other questions that other people have asked in the past. Okay, two other things to celebrate. We'll do a 100k stream. That is only going to be viewer and subscriber games. I will let you know on Twitter at Failcraftcasts and also on a video on this channel when that is going to happen. Probably sometime in the next couple of weeks. It's been a busy time IRL. Talking about IRL, Lore vids are returning this week after this video. It's been quite newsy for the last week or two because of Orisa, because of some of the speculation and things I know. And also I've had a very frantic month or so IRL with moving house and a few other things. Now, other vids, as one of the questions that we're going to cover mentions, a lot of you asked me to try lore videos for other games. I'd love to. Two questions for you. One, what games? Two, should they be on this channel? I'll be trying new game videos here and there, the odd video in the coming weeks. Do give them a go, even if you're mainly an Overwatch fan, and let me know what you think. I also want your lore questions about Overwatch, theories you'd like to explore, or you particularly like and similar, as well, to have a look at in future videos. So please do, once you finish this, slap those in the comments below. Okay, let's get stuck into the Q&A. Firstly, the general section. Now, Mr. Garlic1234 asks, do a face reveal. Here you go. I've actually streamed or had my face on video many times before over the last few years, which leads nicely onto a question from Chris Toffer. For your 100k video, evolution of the channel since day one, future concept is always fun, bloopers over the last month's predictions, pre-100k grats. Okay, that's a really good one to jump onto. So if you go onto my YouTube page, like I'm going to throw up here in a screenshot, sort by oldest first, you can see that my channel's about 4 years old. I started doing StarCraft, Learn to Play or improvement style vids for Heart of the Swarm. IRL and work got busy, I dropped it for a while. I then picked up again and did Hearthstone for a good amount of time, over a year. Maybe we'll return there one day if we have a bit of time. Streams too, and when I was streaming on Twitch, I had my face on camera many times. I used to do deck guides, arena runs, and similar. Overwatch was announced at BlizzCon 2014. I actually set up a website at that point to cover it, and then life got busy, that website kind of got left. I made a few videos around Overwatch while doing my Hearthstone vids, and then BlizzCon 2015 struck in. I was really back into video production with the Overwatch Open Beta, started covering Overwatch Easter eggs and news, and then I moved to voice lines, and then some lore as well, and the rest is the last 9 or 10 months or so of history. So there you go. Predictions I got right. Well, I called Eichenwald about 4 months before it was released. On the others I got wrong. Well, I speculated that the image of Ana that you see in the attacking spawn on Temple of Anubis was something to do with Sombra. This is before we had any Ana clues or hints specifically. Obviously we had the Sombra clues linking to Dorado. We had that one file in the Temple of Anubis. So I'll forgive myself that one. It was at a very early stage, but it was still a wrong one. On Orisa, well, let's see if the 4chan leak that seems to have had reasonable detail on her is right. That also said that there'd be a May animated short or origin story, which I'm still a bit skeptical about, but the one big thing that it was close to was, of course, the Orisa reveal. I still think that the various different parts of that 4chan sort of leak post that a lot of people based Ancora off, for example, like predicting that May would have a Chinese New Year skin, that'd be Year of the Rooster event. I feel that those were reasonable speculations that people could make based off things that were known already, but we'll have to wait and see. So who knows, maybe not wrong on that one, maybe not right, we'll have to see how we go. Snavely asks, other Blizzard lore videos, I would personally like Warcraft. I think it would be great to watch. I think you'd probably be good at it. So this kind of fits into the bit I said at the beginning about a lot of people asking, will you do lore series on other games? I've already asked you those questions at the beginning of the video. Some games I think are done really, really well already. So I could do my take, and I'd love to do so. But it's really a question of, personally, I'd like to find a way of doing things either a bit differently to the way that they're done already. So you either get a different feel, or maybe a different sort of perspective, you know, so whether it's editing, whether it's the way in which it's written or similar, bringing something to these amazingly well done fields that hasn't been done already. So take World of Warcraft. There's Nobble in World of Warcraft. He's done an amazing job covering so much lore from every different perspective. It's not that I couldn't do World of Warcraft videos. I've tried, for example, doing one on Thasdara, the Hunter Relic Bow that you grab in the latest expansion, Legion. So if you really like World of Warcraft, I'll link that in the description below as well. Go have a look. But equally for games, people have mentioned Dark Souls, people have mentioned things like Bloodborne. I'd love to give those a go. But my question to you is, what would you like to see from lore videos that maybe you haven't seen already? There are so many, like particularly for those games, really good ones out there. But I love Blizz games. Do watch out for more Heroes of the Storm lore and voice lines. It's a really, really cool game. A lot of you will be, I guess, new to Blizzard games with Overwatch. Maybe you haven't played World of Warcraft. Maybe you haven't played Heroes of the Storm. Maybe you haven't played Diablo or StarCraft. And Blizzard has so many cool heroes and stories. And Heroes of the Storm is a real nice way, even though the nexus of Heroes of the Storm that everyone fights on is kind of an out-of-universe, central, different place. All of the heroes there still have their own backstories, characters from their own universes. And I think Heroes of the Storm is a really cool way to explore those. Heroes of the Storm's voice work is also comparable to Overwatch in that there are cool pre-game voice lines, interactions, banter, discussion between the characters, funny jokes. There's really cool voice work in there to explore as well. So I think that that's something I'd definitely like to explore. You may have seen I've done Valeera Sanguinar, I've done Lucio, Tracer and Zarya. Tracer and Zarya and Lucio is primarily their hero interactions and voice lines in Heroes of the Storm, because you'll already know their lore, I'm guessing, from my channel. I did Valeera. She was a new hero. She crosses over with Warcraft. She's got kind of a cool story. She's a Warcraft hero, and she had some cool voice work too. So do check out some of those on the channel and let me know what you think. I'd love to explore other Blizzard games, and I'll talk about my love of Blizzard games and different Blizzard games when we get onto a different question further down. Missing Texture asks, can you give us any info on a future collab or possibly a stream schedule? Okay, easy to deal with those. Collabs, it's a real question of time, and honestly I haven't had as much time to work on that kind of thing in the past couple of months as I would have liked, just because of IRL and other priorities, in all honesty. I'd love to do more collabs. I'll see if I can work some in future. Did a collab actually with the guys over at Overwatch Central. You can always go and check out. Check out their channel if you haven't already, of course. Miska and Ryan, fabulous chaps. Streaming. Now, I will never stream all the time, and some of you may have seen me pop up on the odd stream on YouTube, also on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/HammehOW. The thing is, once I've got some different living arrangements sorted for the next few months, I may look to stream once a week, and I will let you all know. I'll try and make that a fixed day and a fixed time that as many of you can get to as possible. I know a bunch of you are in the USA, a bunch of you are also in Australia and further east around the world as well. Getting one time that can suit everyone is a bit tough. I'm thinking maybe it might be on a weekend evening for me in the UK, so that means Europe can tune in. Hopefully for Australia and people it's either morning or similar, maybe the afternoon on a weekend, so that, you know, there's a chance of some of you guys in America, Europe and maybe the Far East and similar tuning in, but we'll work it out. I've also tried streaming live recently when news breaks. I've tried doing that on YouTube and also on Twitch. I'm not 100% sure I'll do this in future. There's a bit of a balance, and some of you have said in the comments, between you enjoying doing like the live stream when the news breaks and covering it like that, and also being able to take a step back, analyze things, write a script, go into a bit more detail that all of you guys I know enjoy when you've said in the comments from sort of my lore analysis and speculation videos. So do let me know what you think of those if you manage to tune into one. Any of you who have notifications enabled on YouTube will have seen those streams. You can always go to my channel page, hit the bell in the top right corner. It will then give you options to decide whether you want to sign up for email alerts, mobile alerts, all alerts, every single alert that comes out, or not. If you do that, you will never miss one of my videos, but make sure that, for example, if you're in a different time zone to Europe and you're going to sleep, turn off your notifications or something. Don't want to be waking people up. But yeah, do let me know what you think of those live stream kind of little news events I've done. I probably prefer if I'm doing a stream, it to be the stream, chill and chat, quick play, having a chat with you guys about lore, just chilling out. And then when it's news and things, probably focusing more on editing and getting out a video nice and sharpish, rather than mixing the two. I've also done some lore streams recently, like longer streams where I've just sort of jumped and done lore analysis live on stream. I can then make those into videos afterwards, but let me know what you think. Magician asks, how do you feel about how your YouTube channel has gone and things before and after sort of Overwatch kicked off? Do you think your YouTube is a lot different to what it used to be in the past? What do you feel the differences are? Any regrets? I don't think I have any regrets while we're talking about the channel. Only perhaps that when I first started doing StarCraft, 4+ years ago, I didn't kind of keep the channel going. I sort of didn't keep doing it. I've kind of stopped and started a few times before the last year or so. So I'm glad I got it going when I kind of did. I think, back in the past, there were reasons why I didn't have the time. My work was very busy, other things going on. I couldn't sort of do this kind of thing. And now I have a bit more of an opportunity to swings and roundabouts. But I think, it's kind of happened for a reason. It's been good timing in some ways. And hey, I'm glad I've had the opportunity, which is really, really cool. Ian Lewis asks, how well do you think YouTube content creators affect the way a game gains and maintains popularity? They certainly have an influence and also kind of a responsibility. I think that could be a video in itself, so I'll leave that big topic perhaps for another day. But I think it's being as much as possible objective, but if you like something, of course you're going to like it. And I think as long as people are watching you and understand that you're a bit of a fanboy or you really, really love a particular game, they're not coming to you for an objective point of view in your love of the game or the title, then you can explore stuff in a bit of a different way. So yeah, sure, certainly YouTubers have, especially huge YouTubers, people with millions plus subs and things, they can totally make games. They can, highlight games to a big and wider audience, and it's totally up to them, of course, in terms of their style and what they enjoy and love. EEC asks, what other games besides Overwatch do you like? Well, the short answer to that is many. I actually did a whole kind of hour video, a couple of videos on my life in games that I did as part of 50k celebrating. You can see that. I'll link that in the description below as well. The short answer is all Blizzard games. The one I played least is Diablo. The one I played most is probably Warcraft series and StarCraft, both StarCraft 1 and 2. StarCraft, HOTS, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Diablo is probably my... Actually, swap World of Warcraft with Hearthstone. StarCraft, HOTS, Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, Diablo is probably my sort of playing order of how much I play them at the moment. Really love BioWare games, Mass Effect, Dragon Age. Big fans of those two series. I'm going to be doing, I think, some videos on Mass Effect Andromeda, so I'd love to explore the lore for that, so keep an eye out for those. Even if you only know Overwatch, do let me know what you think of those. Star Wars games, big fan of Star Wars. Star Wars Galaxies was my first MMO. I played that a heck of a lot. And Star Wars The Old Republic I still dip into now, BioWare and Star Wars. Cool stories, really love playing it. I play it as more of a story game, enjoying the stories of the different characters and classes rather than sort of a hardcore MMO. CD Projekt Red, big fan of The Witcher 3. Been playing a bit of Gwent recently. I do like my card games. I used to be a Pokemon professor. I used to judge Pokemon trading card championships and help run different events. Smite, I love the lore, I love the setting. Ever since I was a kid, I loved and studied history at school. I tried to study it at university for a while. Ancient history, Greek, Egyptian, Roman, gods, myths, legends, theology, that is totally all my jam. So I love Smite. I enjoy it as a MOBA. The third-person perspective is a load of fun as well. So yeah, pretty much games that are sort of stuff with story or really, really team-orientated stuff. And then the final one I have to mention is Team Fortress Classic. I've not played too much of Team Fortress 2, but I played Team Fortress Classic back when Steam was a patching agent only. There was no Steam store. All Valve used Steam for was a way of updating different games, and Team Fortress Classic was one of those games. So yeah, always played a bunch of team shooters, Unreal Tournament as well back in the day. So Overwatch was kind of a combination of my love of Blizzard meeting my love of team-based shooters. Okay, YouTube kind of centric questions. Biscuit asks, did you have any inspirations for doing YouTube? Yes, absolutely. I really love Sean Plott. Day 9, his series on sort of self-improvement, learning, teaching StarCraft. He was a pretty decent StarCraft player, and I've always loved StarCraft. So I love the combination of the learning tutorial environment that he did, and then also the fun stuff he did, sort of Fun Day Monday, where he'd set silly challenges and people would have to send in clips. I'd love to do an Overwatch version of that, and when that happens, it's all going to be inspired from him. So I'll tell you that early in advance. Full credit to Day 9 for that. He's great. Do check him out. He still plays games, chills out and things like that on his YouTube channel. Really, really cool. Perry Mouse asks, how long does it take to make a video, and what are your other passions aside Overwatch? Two good questions. Question number one, depends what kind of video. So a news video is probably faster. Anything over gameplay where I sort of write a script and talk over gameplay is probably a bit quicker. If edited a bit, it can take a few hours, and if I sort of render it and do other things, if I straight up record and do it quickly, it can take maybe half an hour. But I don't do many very short production videos, in all honesty. If it's something like a longer lore interactions voice lines vid that you guys know, if it's one of those 15-20 minute jobs, I've done some videos that are 25 minutes, half an hour long, like my investigation into Mercy's healing tech and how it could work, how it works in real life. The Sombra conspiracy, where we kind of spent 20-25 minutes analysing the Sombra conspiracy diagram that you see in Sombra's origin trailer. Those can take a couple of days, and a chunk of that is writing a script and trying to write like a really nice script that I'm happy with, then recording the audio. After recording the audio, then editing it, trying to process it so it sounds better, and then after that, obviously editing all of the video over the top, finding good sources, sections, sometimes getting screenshots, sometimes gameplay, sometimes grabbing stuff from different Overwatch trailers, sometimes fan art, or various art that artists do of Overwatch, jumping different places, finding art that I like, that I think sort of fits the story, asking artists if I can have their permission to feature their art, setting music and things. That can take a couple of days. So I could easily, on a 20-minute video, maybe take, a couple of days if I wanted to. And in actual fact, I could probably take a lot longer, but I have to sort of, there is a part of making videos for YouTube where YouTube likes you to be reasonably regular. If you're doing it every day, then YouTube absolutely loves that. I'm talking about the platform, in terms of how it supports you or how you get promoted and things. But I can't produce that content in that kind of way. So in an ideal world, I wouldn't want to release videos daily, or I certainly couldn't release those longer produced videos daily. I'm totally okay with that. I just, can't make that kind of stuff to a quality I want that fast. And when I have to rush it or I take less time, occasionally the odd mistake slips in, which I'm sure you guys have noticed. So I'm really working on just being able to take my time and make those kind of things in good time. So thank you very much for your patience and support with those. Other passions besides Overwatch. Well, I'll go through this quickly. TV, series and films. The Wiser Half and I love watching a lot of new series. She's got excellent taste, finds loads of new cool things for us to watch. So we're always generally, jumping into that kind of stuff. Do love my TV, a little bit of cinema. Reading, I need to get back into it. I used to read loads and loads of stuff, so I need to get back into reading a bit more. Kind of a spare time thing, but I've been reading a few different things recently. I've actually really recently got into sort of the idea of Dungeons and Dragons. If you think it's nerdy, I will give you two things. One, nerdy is cool anyway, and two, a lot of the video games that you probably play or may have played or know of have been directly inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Any game that's an RPG, a video game with storytelling, Dragon Age, Elder Scrolls, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, those are just some of the last 5 years. Anything RPG-esque, certainly anything fantasy-esque, I'm pretty sure some of the developers of those games and story writers of those games have played D&D. I might try some Dungeons and Dragons style videos in the future, maybe see if I can get a group of people together to play a game, perhaps record it. It's very hypothetical at this stage. I think D&D can be really funny, you can have really dramatic stories, you can have a lot of fun with it as well. It's a bunch of people getting together and telling a story together. And I love stories and, examining stories. I also like to tell stories as well. So if you think that could be interesting, take the D&D tag off it for a second if that weirds you out a bit. If you think that could be interesting, let us know in the comments. I'd love to give it a go. But yeah, I'm reading a lot about it, listen to a lot of podcasts and watch video series. If you've never watched or thought of D&D, there are two that I'd kind of especially recommend, which I really enjoy at the moment. There's Critical Role, which is more video sort of focused. You can watch people playing D&D. They're all professional voice actors. The guy who runs the game is Matthew Mercer, who some of you may be familiar with as the voice of McCree. So the voice of McCree, the voice actor who plays McCree, also runs a really, really quality game over on Geek and Sundry. So go and check out a series called Critical Role on YouTube. Start out at episode 1. Give that a go. And that's more visual, long form. I would say it's probably more serious isn't the word, but they try and get into act their characters and that kind of stuff. If you like a one that's more sort of just joking around, I'd recommend The Adventure Zone. That's a podcast. Each episode is an hour. It's some of the McElroy family. Some of them used to work on Polygon and other things like that, and their dad used to work in radio. So it's a bunch of brothers and their dad getting together and playing sort of more jokey, fun, sort of fast and loose Dungeons and Dragons, and it's kind of, you know, your imagination takes you away where it wants to go, and they have a load of fun with it. Both can be really funny in different ways. One of them I'd say is a little bit more visual, a little bit more long form. The other as a podcast is a bit more episodic, a bit more short form, a little bit more fast and loose. But give those a go. I really, really recommend them. Okie dokie. Veer Twintig Swagtop asks, what's the song in your videos? I find it so calming. How about the music in them? I'm going to put a little list in the description below. One that most people ask about is Sad Past Silent Partner. That's the one that's kind of twinkly in the background of most of the lore sections of the Hero Lore Interactions and Voice Lines videos. So Lost, MK2 is kind of an epic one as well. Highlight Reel by Kevin MacLeod. Heroes Theme by Twin Musicom. 8-Bit March is the sort of twinkly, cheery kind of 8-bit style music, which I use a bit. And then also Trancer, Digital Voyage. Trancer is by Gunnar Olsen. Digital Voyage is by Twin Musicom. And then the Lucio tracks. You can get those on the Play Overwatch SoundCloud account as well, if you haven't checked those out there. Okay, on to Overwatch lore. Borislav Filev asks, what is your favourite theory about the Overwatch lore? Favourites. There's another question in a sec, which is more about my favourite sort of headcanon or personal theory. I think my favourite general theory that's out there is the Pharah kind of indigenous origin theory that links with, she's got a Thunderbird skin. And does that link to perhaps, you know, Pharah being of, you know, indigenous origin in North America or Canada, for example? I think that's pretty cool. I just like that as a theory. It feels kind of nice. Of course, it's speculation. We have not a huge amount to base that on, bar the little thing in Reflections when we saw Pharah eating dinner with a gentleman with a hockey game on the background, which is, you know, so people, oh, okay, that's Canada indigenous theory. That backs that kind of Thunderbird thing up. Yeah, I think that's a really fun theory. I quite like that one. Caliblat actually asks, what was your favourite piece of lore that was officially debunked by Blizzard? Keep up the great content. So, interesting one. I think that most things that have been debunked, I'm kind of cool with them being debunked, because generally when a sort of clarification or a debunk comes out from Blizzard, it's usually when people start getting into mildly unlikely territory, or people start citing headcanon as fact. So I don't mind too much when things are debunked. It's more of a clarification to me than a debunk. So like Mercy being an evil experimenting doctor, you know, although that has, you know, they haven't come out and said, you know, Mercy isn't an evil experimenting doctor. They've said, you know, oh, Mercy isn't an evil vampire or all that kind of thing. There might well be, for example, an evil experimenting doctor in the Overwatch lore, but I wouldn't say that Mercy is that person. So generally, any sort of debunks, as you call them, I don't mind too much about those. Having said that, my favourite piece of lore that kind of maybe has then been confirmed the other way, I like the, sort of the theory before it was debunked, as you say, that Tracer doesn't age. I think that was kind of an interesting one. Maybe I don't like the theory, but I quite like the idea. You know, May has, of course, aged. Some people have said she doesn't age. Mercy ages. Of course, some people have said she hasn't aged. But Tracer's an interesting one because of the whole chronal disassociation kind of condition, time accident she had with the slipstream. What's Tracer's relationship with time? What happened when she was during that period? So I guess it's... I never thought that Tracer didn't age, but it could have been a possibility. And even though it was sort of confirmed that she does age, it's interesting to know, for example, what would have happened in that time. So I think that's an interesting idea, you know, an area that could still be explored, for example. What happened to Tracer in the time when she was I think that's an interesting area that could be explored, for example. What happened to Tracer in the time that she was sort of suffering this chronal disassociation? Alex asks, your opinion on Genji and Mercy's relationship, bearing in mind that it's a doctor-patient and ethics are involved. So for starters, I think this is, I can sort of talk more broadly about shipping here. In terms of shipping, I don't have anything against them or for them. I like, you know, how creative people get. There's some really cool fan art and things like that out there. But remember that the only relationship that we know is kind of canon really is Tracer and Emily. Par exemplar. Anything else is people having fun, and that's totally awesome. What I would say with Genji and Mercy, they're perhaps good friends from the little letter with the you know, sparrow feather or the bird feather that we saw in Reflections. Until we hear otherwise. Okay, we've had the lines which are them kind of sharing chocolates and things. A few people have actually said that them sharing chocolates in terms of a Japanese thing is probably more sort of a friendly sharing thing. Perhaps it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. So if you're more of an expert on that sort of kind of expert of Japanese chocolate sharing culture, you certainly probably know more about it than I do. Let us know in the comments. But I'd say they're good friends. I would assume. my speculation here from what we've seen. I'd say they're good friends until, you know, we know otherwise. But hey, you want to think otherwise, that's totally up to you, and it's totally cool. Kitty Hawk asks, hey Hammeh, what would you like to see in future Overwatch lore, even if it isn't backed up with facts? There's a lot of fan-made theories and similar. Firstly, what I'll say to that one is Blizzard have got way more than enough cool paths that they've set up with Reaper, McCree, Mercy, Soldier 76, all of these kind of cool stories to tell without me getting in the way or in the mix too much. But hey, speculation is fun. I've done a bunch of it on this channel. So here's my kind of thoughts on my personal favourite headcanon or theories, or maybe area I just like really, really explored. How about Reaper being a tragic anti-hero? Maybe he fell due to reasons beyond his control, or some kind of tragic misunderstanding as to why he's hunting down former Overwatch agents. So perhaps Blackwatch's rogue elements trying to bring Overwatch down, as was cited in McCree's bio on the official website. Maybe they weren't under Reyes' knowledge or control. On the flip side, maybe if Reyes does have a really good reason to have this burning sort of hatred of Overwatch and everything it stood for and the people who used to work for it, then if that's true, it gives us a really interesting insight into characters who maybe we thought were really good. So in Old Soldiers, that I go back to quite a lot, Reyes says to Ana, just before he sort of disapparates, as it were, disappears, he did this to me, they left me to die, they left me to suffer, remember that. So if the he is Morrison, then why did if Morrison actually walked away and left Reyes to sort of die or become what he is, that's kind of a really interesting story. It's a very dark side to Morrison. We've seen this dark side to Morrison recently in his Soldier 76 style sort of vengeance spree, as it were. Or who are the they? So Overwatch has this concept, as Michael Chu has said, of unreliable narrators. So can we trust everything that everyone says? Sombra probably isn't the most reliable narrator. Michael Chu has said that Reaper isn't the most reliable narrator. Is even Morrison nowadays the most reliable narrator as Soldier 76? He is, you know, almost but not quite consumed by this kind of quest to find out why Overwatch was brought down, get this sort of justice, get this sort of reckoning. But we've seen in the animated short Hero, for example, he's not above cracking a few skulls in a fairly violent way with a pinata, and we've got to assume that some of those people he shot aren't getting up from those pulse rounds and rockets, for example. So although Morrison may be trying to expose an injustice, he's going a very, very, very brutal way about it, I would say. If Reyes has good reason for this, well, good reason, if he has a sort of sound reason in his head for this kind of vengeance spree that he's going on, then that may well make some of the Overwatch characters or the people he holds responsible for it, if not evil, then certainly grey. Or if Reaper doesn't have a good reason and there's been a bit of a misunderstanding, then might there be this moment where Reaper turns around and suddenly realises that there's this whole tragic misunderstanding? How would he react? I think that would be a fascinating story. However, please understand, I'm not trying to redeem Reaper. You know, I think that you need to have bad guys. You need to have, you know, evil, or you need to have shades of grey, and then you need to have good guys and everything in between. If Reaper is evil, that's fine by me. I don't want everyone in Overwatch to be redeemed. I think there have to be some people who are out for what they want to get and causing these problems and on the evil spectrum of things, for example. Chaotic evil is totally, absolutely fine by me. Other things, well, the Sombra conspiracy, I'd love to see what's going on with different elements of that. Will it all tie together? That'd be a really cool piece of storytelling, I think, if it does. And then personally, I'd love it, headcanon-wise, if Athena did turn out to be a good AI and we learn more about god AIs. A benign or a good one. Apparently, god AIs were contained after the first Omnic crisis. Is Athena a one that was maybe, you know, harnessed to, or created to serve the Overwatch organisation and the common good? That'd be really cool to have a look at as well. Okay, reinvigorated after a half-time cup of coffee, and we're on to the Overwatch section. So, Rockray Moo asks, what brought you to Overwatch? Was it because you like Blizzard? Well, yeah, as I said earlier, it's a combination of things. I love Blizzard games, played them for many, many years. And then also, I've also loved team-based shooting games. I used to play a lot of TFC. I played Clanned. I played in a UK league and some European leagues. I did a little bit of writing and punditry. This is many, many years ago. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Ran a clan, played in some competitive ladders and tournaments and things, and although it was all sort of amateur and for fun, really, really enjoyed it, which was so cool. And so yeah, when Overwatch turned up, it was kind of a combination of two of my favourite things, and then the story, the characters all really, really seemed cool, and yeah, 10 months later, here we are. When Overwatch was announced at BlizzCon 2014, I was hammering that sign up button, just going, oh my goodness, made a video about it straight away, really tired. You can still see it on the channel, actually, Overwatch announced, and my video production has changed a little bit since then. Happily, it's hopefully a bit better. Up to you, of course, your mileage may vary. Jacob Jordan asks, what drew you to Overwatch, the lore, gameplay, or something else? I've covered that one. And then also, when's the next Mass Effect video happening? So Mass Effect, I put a couple of videos out. They've probably been a bit of a surprise to you folks, whether you've just subbed recently or you've been around for the last 10, 11 months or so. When the occasional Mass Effect or Heroes of the Storm video goes out, I see a drop in views and things, and that's fine because, you know, you guys are here for Overwatch and that's what I love doing. Do give the other stuff a go though, see what you think. As I said at the very beginning, unsure whether I should make a new lore video channel for other games and keep this one Overwatch, or if you guys don't mind watching the occasional video or something from another game, then just let me know how you feel. Would you prefer this to be a lore channel or an Overwatch channel or an Overwatch lore channel? Don't have to decide that right now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Benny, Bad Pun Master, asks, if you could mod Lucio's music that plays when you're speed or heal boosting, what would it be? That's a really fun question. So what I would say is it depends if it has to fit into Lucio's electronic DJ music background or not. If it does, then I'd go back to one of my loves. I used to sort of bedroom DJ a little bit, and I used to love my happy hardcore dance and trance, if you know that kind of genre. A little bit fast, a little bit cheesy, a little bit squeaky vocals. In which case for healing, I would go for CLSM Free Your Mind, the original mix. Check out these tunes. I can't play them over the top of here just because I don't want this to be copyright struck or anything, but I'll try and link them in the description, or at least write them down so you can look them up on YouTube. For speed boost, I'd go for Maybe, Shine Forever, the WN remix of Toby and Frida, which is a little squeaky dancey song, but it's quite hyperactive, so people running around with speed boost, I'd quite like that. If it didn't have to fit Lucio's electronic vibe, for the heal music, I'd go for Lorde, her new song Green Light. I'm actually really enjoying that at the moment. And speed boost, I'd go for Funny's The Devil Went Down to Georgia of Guitar Hero Legends of Rock fame. The little fiddle violin sections, I think they'd be kind of cool. Psycho Hysteria asks, I'd love to know a few things, and a lot of people ask these questions, so this is a big sum up of a few of them. Who are your favourite Overwatch characters? What do you love to play the most? What kind of game modes do you like? What developments would you like to really see? Prism King also said, who are your favourite characters from each category? Farmer Saki asked, I'd love to hear more opinionated stuff from you, like your favourite heroes, who you want for a short. Okay, opinions. Right, favourite characters. Attack, defense, tank and sup. Let's go through the different categories to start with. Attack, I like Farah. I need to get good with her or get better with her. I played a lot of her to start with. That Quake Unreal Tournament vibe. I'm useless at air shots. I can't hit a cow's backside with a banjo, but I'd really enjoy playing Farah. Defense, I like Mei. I think there's a lot of stealth, a lot of pain and you can cause in the way that she can block off space. Mei is okay. Mei is not the devil. I'm a #1 member of the Mei PR, Give Mei a Chance Society. Tanking, I love Zarya and Diva, two different styles of play, loads of good fun to be had there. Support, Ana, my spirit animal for sure, she's loads of fun to play. And again, I love like the mixture of hit scan and projector with her scoped in and zoomed out. The sleep dart, hitting a sleep dart feels good. You can do a bit of damage, you can be quite good at applying pressure. So yeah, the mix of styles she has is really fun. And I think Orisa will be in there as well. She's a really good utility tank, I think. If you mix her up with a few other people, we're yet to see how she'll work in competitive, but I think she could be a really fun character to play. And again, a bit of a high skill ceiling, perhaps lots of different skills, things you can mix up, always a lot to be thinking about, like Ana. So although I'm not the greatest technical player or the greatest skilled player, I do love these heroes that give you an opportunity to really improve. You can see ways that you can push your skill ceiling and find different ways and aspects of your game to improve and enjoy. Characters I just love to play, well, yeah, all of the above, but also Lucio and Symmetra. I love my supports. Symmetra, she's so much fun. She's a bit silly at the moment, in my opinion, but she's so much fun. Game modes or development that I'm excited for. Well, I'm excited about Capture the Flag because I used to play a lot of Team Fortress Classic and that was all Capture the Flag, 6v6 or 8v8. I think it was 8v8 CTF. I can't even remember now. I think you needed a team of 8 yeah, it was 8v8. With new modes, by the way, let's always support Blizzard with constructive criticism. So if you don't like something or you don't think it's working, that's fine. But then say why and say how it can be improved. If you just say something is crap or something is bad, it's kind of just quite negative without giving that feedback that lets people improve. So I love Capture the Flag. Sure, there are some balance challenges with it in different ways, but I'd love Blizzard to keep working on it. So let's not put them off, you know, and equally for any new game modes we see in future. Always say why something's not so great or why it wasn't what you were expecting and then how it can be improved. And that goes the same for my videos as well. I'm more than happy to have constructive criticism because it means that you can make things better and know what people think, also with good reasons why. Lore events or modes, I'd love to see those. Maybe something like Junkenstein's Revenge, but PV or something with lore changes, maybe an Omnic Crisis one where, you know, you're being shot at by waves of bastions, OR-14s, as we know. They were part of the Omnic Crisis as well. Different bots from different areas, maybe a big boss walker or something like that would be really, really cool. And then it moves along the story and gives us a fun new mode to try and maybe some different skins. So maybe Overwatch could do events that aren't just the stereotypical ones, for example, Valentine's Day, Oktoberfest, all of that kind of stuff. Animated shorts, what would I like to see? Well, Mercy, Diva, Lucio and Zenyatta. I call them Lore poor, but that's a bit harsh. They haven't had their time in the sun. They've yet to have something dedicated to them or more of a spotlight on them. Also Reaper, Gabriel Reyes Origins. I'd love that. But really, any animated short I'm happy with. Anything animated short is cool. But in terms of more lore, I'd love to see, even if it's comics or blogs or anything, I don't mind what it is, but I'd love to see more about these characters that we've not fully explored yet. May to a degree, but we've seen Eco Point Antarctica, which has explored her backstory or that moment in her life a little bit as well. Favourite maps for gameplay. I love playing Control, King of the Hill. It feels like a back and forth flow. I like it. I rarely feel off a Control map feeling like I didn't deserve to win or lose, or my team didn't deserve to win or lose, for example. And also, I love the visuals of them. They're all universally, pretty looking maps. Lijiang Tower, Ilios, they've got a different variety of environments, sort of level layouts, closed corridors, open spaces. They test you and your team in different situations. So yeah, I love jumping onto Control. I always sort of, get excited for a Control map. For lore and some design, I love Route 66. It's kind of a story of McCree and loads of Easter eggs and fun things in there. Hollywood for all of the different Blizzard references. It's like Blizzardland of different Blizzard in-jokes and references. Eichenwald. I did a vid on Route 66 and Hollywood. Hollywood was one of my first Overwatch videos. Their lore and Easter eggs sort of exploration of Hollywood, which is really fun. I think I'll do a new one on Eichenwald. I think there's someone I'd like to team up with to do that if I can make it possible. What don't I like in terms of maps? Well, I hate 2CP with tight jokes, and the reason for that is probably purely a selfish and a slightly, when I get salty at competitive, it's a slightly salty one. They're very snowbally, and I know Blizzard have been doing a lot of work to improve this with the spawn time changes recently in the most recent patch that has been undocumented or slightly documented. Perhaps it's just from my experience, but Overwatch is a team game. You cannot design maps for solo queue. You can't design your whole experience of a team game around people solo queuing, for example, so that's not particularly fair. 2CP, some of them are just clue checks, like Temple of Anubis first choke, Hanamura first choke, Volskaya Industries first choke, where if your team is chronically uncoordinated, if people are all playing as solo, if people are dribbling in one by one, and the other team has some clue as to how to set up a defense, I don't think it matters how good you are unless you're a really good flanking character who can bypass that choke and cause chaos in the backline so that your team kind of stumbles through. 2CP, I walk away from several 2CP maps where you just grind out on the first pointers attack. So the amount of times I've drawn Hanamura 0-0, for example, where I've had a horrible attacking experience and then we somehow managed to grind out a draw, I just walk away from it thinking, well, okay, we didn't lose, but it's been a bit of a frustrating experience. So yeah, but I think a challenge with that is it's a team game. You should team up with people. You should 2-stack or 3-stack. Maybe eventually Blizzard can introduce perhaps a solo queue option. Maybe options say for people with microphone only queues, only people who are speaking on microphone or using team voice. But do they invest time in optimizing that, or is it our duty as players to jump in as a 2-stack or a 3-stack, team up with people because it's a team game and make a difference in that kind of way? So yeah, those are probably my opinions on maps and things like that. Probably nothing surprising to some of you. Razor, Roger and Gizmo asks, in your opinion, what is one holiday you think will for sure get a holiday skin for a hero? As I just said before, I think Blizzard might avoid those kind of tropes is the wrong word, but popular holidays for other games like pool parties, things like that. Doubt we'll see that. I would think of in-game events. I think like Unity Day would be a really fun one. Something for maybe Overwatch's first birthday coming up in May. That'd be really cool. Oktoberfest Reinhardt, I think that would be a good one. St. Patrick's Day, as you said, I think that could be a good one as well. We've already had Chinese New Year, which I think was a pretty cert for coming up, not only because it's popular, it's in other Blizzard games, but also there's a big Blizzard fan base in China. So from many different perspectives, that makes absolute perfect sense. But for something that would for sure get one, tough to tell. I'd love to see Oktoberfest Rhine. There have been some kind of voice lines that have mildly perhaps hinted to it, but they could have also hinted to Eichenwald as well. So we'll see. Simple Sergey asks, you helped cast the Scrub Cup. Do you intend to cast any more tournaments? So if you don't know what the Scrub Cup was, it was an event by /r/Overwatch University, the Overwatch University subreddit, where people, I think it was Gold and below, maybe it was Platinum and below, I couldn't remember, teamed up, they got coaches, and then they all played in a tournament style setting, which was commentated. So I jumped in on a couple of games for that. It was loads of fun. What I would say is it's kind of me talking about streaming and casting like I did before. Good casters, and I'm not a good caster. I talk too fast. I forget the names of abilities. I get way too overexcited, and God forbid the poor co-caster who's casting with me, I sort of overtalk people. So there's a lot of practice and skill that goes into good, explanatory, clear, concise casting. To do that, or to practice with that, it's really a time thing. It's very much like streaming. All of the streamers who stream on Twitch, streaming well and practicing is like, a big time investment to do it justice, to do it well, to improve. I think if you want to do one thing really well, you've got to put a chunk of time into it. With YouTube, with Twitch, with casting, it's almost like a pick one or pick 1.5 situation. So at the moment, I YouTube. That's what I do, and I really enjoy it. And you guys, obviously, a bunch of you guys enjoy it as well. So I will focus on that. But if I can do the odds cast here and now, I will. I would recommend, by the way, you go and check out /r/Overwatch University. And if you like esports, /r/competitive Overwatch, or the sections on Reddit for Overwatch University and competitive Overwatch. Some really cool stuff. On Overwatch University, you can jump in. They actually do a league at the moment. You can grab teammates and things. You can play in a league. They have different sort of ability ranges you can play within. People are casting that as well. There's casted events. There's a Twitch channel, I think, for it as well. It's really good fun. A good way if you want to get involved in competitive in a casual way, low pressure, in sort of more of an organised kind of tournament setting, but without jumping into ladder. So that's a cool way to get stuck in. Hey, I'm not the greatest player. I should probably head over there and get coached and suck up a bit more knowledge into my brain than I have already. The gold platinum life of solo queue for the last 2 seasons for me has been a real struggle, but I need to put more time in. Practice makes perfect. I need to put more practice in. Mail asks, who is your doctor and who among your favourite characters, Overwatch-wise, would be Whovian? Well, confession here, I'm not a massive Doctor Who fan. I've watched it in the past if it's on, particularly the new stuff. I did quite like David Tennant. He was pretty good. Now, who would be a Whovian? 2 characters I think might be a Whovian. Farah is an Overwatch geek. She really geeks out about Overwatch and heroes. I think she might like Doctor Who. Reinhardt, in some of his voice lines, unreleased, also talks about a trial by 6, and this kind of trial by 6. So I think that Reinhardt, he wants D.Va's autograph. He likes D&D maybe, or he likes rolling dice. The Overwatch actor Darren DePaul actually likes kind of tabletop games and stuff as well. I've seen from a few videos and interviews and things with him. So I could see maybe Reinhardt liking Doctor Who as well. So he likes David Hasselhoff. He's a bit older. He's got that history. He clearly likes StarCraft maybe, or who knows who D.Va is if he asks for her autograph. I can see Reinhardt being a little bit of a closet geek, liking Doctor Who perhaps. Your baby Fred asks, what is your favourite Overwatch meme? What is your favourite Overwatch meme? In a bit of a shout. I like Gremlin D.Va, but I actually like the flip side of that Blizzard have explored, D.Va's feelings about the destruction of career a bit in a couple of voice lines. Maybe that's setting her up for a bit of backstory, a comic or something. The sort of sadness about the destruction of her home. So we've kind of, got the stereotypical D.Va, the stereotype that she embraces a bit. And then also we've seen a little bit of maybe D.Va's other side, or her non-public, non-gamer persona, because she's obviously been defending a destroyed career in a lot of the South China Sea, East China Sea area from this giant Keiju style Omnic that we've seen a brief glimpse of in the Overwatch theatrical cinematic teaser trailer. Dad76 I also quite like. I like Grumpy Soldier 76 as well. Him and Ana Amari, they're definitely my spirit animals as well. Young punks, get off my lawn. Okay, I've labelled these as personal. They're not too personal, but they fall under that rather than anything else. Red Emra asks, a Q&A question, what is your opinion, countryside or city? Since you live in England, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the city. I quite like open space, but with access to city stuff and, shops, bit of a life and all of that kind of things. I really love the coast. Me and my wiser half both really love the coast. Sea, surf and sun. So a combo of both is totally good for me. I'm not a complete countryside person. I can go on holiday in the countryside and scenery and enjoy it, but I wouldn't live there, so I wouldn't live on a desolate farm or anything, for example. The Scarlet Pimp asks, love your videos. Where are you from and where do you live now? Well, I'm from the UK. I'm British, English, if you will. The sort of south of Britain, south of England, not too far from London. And I have a Chinese parent, so that probably sums up those two. Okay, then just some general questions that you guys threw in. Chop Suey asks, Tim Tams or double-decker bars? We're getting to the important stuff now. Now, these are different kinds of chocolate biscuit cakey confectionery delight. Tim Tams are Australian. I've experienced them a couple of times. Caramel ones, very, very tasty. One of the big supermarkets in the UK used to sell them. They don't anymore. That was a sad time. They've now become very expensive, and you can only get them on Amazon. Double deckers, Cadbury's, they're sort of a British thing. The double decker, well, they're both beautiful. I'd say Tim Tams with a cup of tea. The caramel ones are amazing. I need to try and find some more of those. Scatterbrain Jane asks, does a submarine actually swim? Well, if Zenyatta hasn't solved it, I don't think I'm going to solve it. If a philosophical, theological mind like his, who's spent years in Shambhali Monastery trying to work out if he thinks and if a submarine swims, for example, I think a submarine partially floats. Let's go with that. Banana asks, for your AMA, do you like turtles? I have no strong feelings on turtle kind. I do have a particular strong opinion that it's Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as it was called here in the UK, not Ninja Turtles. That's just my opinion. The original cartoon was awesome. Not so much of a fan of what I've seen of the recent films. I've not really got in, sort of stuck into either, but the trailers and things that I've seen, they don't look so cool, but maybe I'll give them a go at some point. Okay, finally, a few suggestions for content and videos and things in future. Forget and Regret says you should do a lore story about yourself. Will in future, perhaps. I don't know whether it would be a like draw my own life or draw my own story or something, but I'd love to try and do something like that. I'd want to really script it and make it good. So I'll have a think about that for the future. Just a Tool says, for 100k, do gameplay of you playing with a controller? Well, I actually do have Overwatch on Xbox. I've had Xboxes and PS3s. I wouldn't say I'm affiliated one way or the other, but at the moment I've got an Xbox One with Overwatch on it. So I'll totally do a stream or some gameplay of me on Xbox. It'll be terrible. I actually used to play a lot of console Call of Duty, and then I played a lot of Destiny, Crucible, when it was out for a while. But then obviously I've come back to PC, which is where I've played most of my shooters. So if I go back to Xbox, I'm going to be terrible, but hey, I'm sure you'll find that funny. So we can give it a go. I will join you console brothers and sisters out there for sure. Furious Sherman, find a few fan theories and headcanons that people have posted. I want to do this, so if you're still watching, let me know your theories and headcanons about Overwatch Lore in the comments. I'll go back over old video comments as well, and we'll totally have a look at those. Whew, there we go. So that is the end of this AMA, Ask Me Anything, or Q&A. Now, if you didn't have the opportunity to ask me a question, or if I didn't cover your question, drop them in the comments below. I will try and jump in on text and reply to them, as many of them as I can. If not, I will save them for a future AMA in future. So please, if you've got any questions for me about anything to do with Overwatch gaming, other bits and bobs that you would have liked to have asked for this video but couldn't get to, please do let me know. Do keep an eye out for the stream that we're going to do, all of the lore videos that we're going to get stuck into as well. Really excited for that. And I'm going to do a competition to say thank you to you all. That will probably be on gleam.io, but I will tweet about it on @Failcraftcasts. Do follow me there if you don't follow me already on Twitter. I'll also shout about it on all the different social media things that I'm on, and I'll do a little video here telling you when the competition is live as well. Thank you so much again for getting to 100k. If I grow no more than 100k subscribers and you guys all stick around and you have a good time and we make loads of cool videos together, that will be amazing indeed. But I just wanted to say big thanks to you all for your support. I wouldn't have got here without you, and I really, really appreciate it. And if you like things, if you'd like to see new things, do let me know what they are in the comments. If there are things that you don't like in the way that I do videos, again, please do let me know, and let me know what you would prefer and how I can improve. All of that really, really helps me. Cheers for tuning in. I hope you managed to stick through all of this. I've been Hammeh, and I'll catch you hopefully in a video or a stream or in the comments below sometime soon. Take it easy.